Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to my Dune Awakening content. Today, you know I had to do it. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. I want to go over the latest live stream and the little snippet that they made personally on the building and crafting system. I want to focus on talking about the building system, and I want to showcase some of the different styles that are present in this video so that you can get an idea of what the higher end Atreides and the Harkonnen system looks like for sure. So if that sounds interesting to you, then stick around. I'm going to be doing a commentary reaction style video in this one today. I'm going to try to make sure that I pause it at every interval so that I don't try to talk over the top of them, because that's really aggravating when people do that. So I'm going to try not to be that guy today. So we start this video with an introduction of Leo, the lead game designer, and Tor, he's the senior content manager. Leo is responsible for the building and the social functions, and Tor is responsible for the marketing and the building and stuff like that. When you see things in promotional videos and stuff like that that showcase building, this is Tor behind that. So let's get into it and hear what they have to say, and then I'm just going to kind of break in with some key thoughts about some of these things that I'm seeing and some of the really interesting stuff that I'm seeing about this from, you know, based on my experience from other building games type of thing.
When we talk building system, we should probably also talk about what is the goal with the building system and kind of how does it differ from, let's say, Conan Exiles, for example. Leo.
Yeah, so for the building system, two things we really wanted to emphasize is that on one hand, we want to retain the freedom that you had in Conan Exiles, right? So you can build quite a lot without restriction, but on the other hand, we also wanted to make sure that building worked on another level of persistence that we have in Dune Awakening, right? So some restrictions were necessary there. So we wanted to make sure that those two things worked hand in hand.
Yeah, because you have a seamless world, and it's very heavy on your system as well.
So this is one thing that I'm really glad to hear them say. They want to give the player freedom. That's always very important in a building system. Having freedom to be able to place the building pieces as you will, without being bound by stability requirements and stuff like that, so that we can create those really unique structures like cliffhangers and you know, vertical things on top of spires and all that kind of interesting stuff. So it's really neat and encouraging to hear them say those kind of things.
System as well, otherwise. Yeah, I think when it comes to quality of life improvements, is there anything that you feel we learned from Conan Exiles that goes into Dune Awakening?
So the building system in Conan Exiles evolved through many years, and that also taught us much for Dune Awakening. So I felt we've taken those learnings and put them in here, and so it's a bit of an evolvement of the Conan Exiles building system, but it's also it allows us to basically take those learnings, but also expand the system with especially more unique building pieces, more unique styles, and make it flow easily as you build. So now Conan Exiles is unique in that it has through 8 years been adding dozens of building sets. So we're not there yet on Dune Awakening, obviously, but we have 4 at launch, and we're going to keep adding as we go on.
And of course, one of the differences that was mentioned is the land claim and the sub-fief basically that you place down. I think we should just jump into the game and actually show what that looks like.
So before they get started talking about the land claim system, I just wanted to highlight that part about how they talked about having lots of different building pieces That's critical in a system like this for customization and for people to be able to kind of shape their designs that they have in their head to what they can actually do in the world. The addition of the curved building pieces and all the different little wedge fill-ins from where you have gaps around stairways and those kind of things are so awesome to see. They did say that it's come from many years of doing the Conan system, and I know that the Conan building system is very intricate and very forgiving and fun to allow player creativity, and I look for a ton of that in the Dune building system. I'm really, really excited for it, for sure.
The sub-thief basically that you place down. I think we should just jump into the game and actually show what that looks like.
So we're basically going to build a base together with
Yeah.
the
okay,
front
now we
coming
see
here.
it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we have two ground cars out here, and we're looking for a spot to build our base.
Yeah, and then we see Camille waving for us.
Yeah. So the way we start with that is we find a good spot, and then we start by placing our sub-thief console, which is how we claim a piece of land.
One thing to keep
In the background there, you can see the red of a no build zone. So that's really cool, the way that shows up whenever you actually are trying to place your console, because then you can get an idea of your available build space in green, and you can see the nearby no build zone so that you can kind of get an idea of how close you can place your territory to that no build zone area and still possibly leave yourself room for expansion. So that's really cool, because on some of these consoles you can extend their range by upgrading them with a thing called a staking rod, which will allow you to expand the build space horizontally and vertically. So being able to see that no build zone range while you're placing your, kind of get an idea of how the terrain fits into your build zone and stuff is very critical, and I'm really glad to see that right there, so that it helps you know where to put yourself in relation to stuff that you can't build into, because you don't want to end up cutting your own throat as far as your available build range whenever you expand in the future. So being able to see that zone is really, really critical.
keep in mind there is that you see these outlines, and you can see where there's red, there is a point of interest, NPC camp, something like that, so you cannot build there. But the other places you can build. So we're going to place this. At the moment I have the starting sub-thief console, which is basically just in Haga Basin South. You want to talk about the differences, Leo?
Yep, so later on in progression you'll unlock the advanced sub-thief console, which can claim a larger piece of land, which is the one you can see here. And that one can also be expanded to an even greater area. Or it can be expanded vertically as well, if you want to do that. Alright, so now that we have the sub-thief console here, what you can do is add the other player here to its permission list, and that will give them access to it as well. So now they're an associate, you can elevate them to co-owner level of permission, and they'll give them increased rights to perform various activities on the base. Now this is the base management screen, as we call it, and here you can see details such as the name of the base up in the left.
Okay, so a couple key things I want to draw your attention to, other than the ability for you to give people permission to be part of your building plan, as far as the things they can control at different levels, like a co-owner and all that. Give them power to activate the energy requirements, the shields, that kind of stuff. Pay the taxes, possibly. That's really cool. I've never had that ability in another game. I mean, yes, I've built in a lot of games where you can assign permissions to guild members, but it's never been on this level. The intricacy that they have designed into the permission system is shown at every different stage of the game, and it's very, very cool to see, because me personally as a guild leader, that gives me a lot of hope that I will be able to set structure for my people so that they can access the things they need and that everybody can get their job done. And so that's really cool to see. But one thing I wanted to talk about in beginning is you do have a building piece limit. It shows right here. This is an advanced subfief console, and you can see that there's a 2,500 piece building limit. While that does sound huge, I do know from experience that that can be eaten into really quickly. So I don't know how that's actually going to play into, are you going to be able to build what you want to build and the desire that you have in your mind as far as the design, or are you going to feel like you're restricted when you get to the ending stages of your building, that you're not going to be able to place enough decorations and those kind of things because they count against your building piece limit? We're just going to have to play with that and see. But I did want to point out that there is a building piece limit, because I've seen that question a lot. You know, people have said, is there a limit to how many structures you can have in your building zone? Yes, there is. And this is the advanced subfief console limit of 2,500 pieces. So while there is hope that this won't feel too restrictive, because some of the bases we're going to show off in this video right here are massive and they have lots of intricacy to them, I think it won't be as big of a problem as I'm hoping it will be. Not, you know, because I don't want to be restricted, and especially if the cosmetic items count against this, that can really kind of hamper your decoration efforts. So I'm hoping that this is not going to be a thing, but I did just want to point that out and call that out.
Corner, which can be changed as well. There you can see that there, set it to whatever name you like, and then you can choose if it's your respawn location or not. You see some stats about the base there, the area and the number of objects of various categories against the current cap. And the cap that you see there is also expanded when you expand the base. And then you have some shield status information as well there. And the base shields, once they're up, they will protect your base against storm damage.
Yeah, this is crucial in Dune, though, to have your shields active. Otherwise, your base will start deteriorating.
Also, we see a tax area there as well, of course, for the taxes.
Yeah. So the advanced subfief console is
So they did briefly mention the deterioration feature, and this is common standard practice in the survival games of this type. Having your structures decay over time when you're not actively playing. It's just a mechanic that most of these style games that have overland, what's called overland building and not instanced building, whenever you can actually build a structure in the physical world that everybody sees and accesses every time they run by or interacts with your building. That's called overland building. It's a common mechanic in these style of games to have your structures decay after a certain period of inactivity. So if you haven't logged in, and in games like Ark, for instance, you might be familiar with refreshing your structures whenever you get into the render zone of those structures and they actually render in game because of your presence, that resets the refresh timer on the decay. In this game, it's more than likely going to be tied to whether or not you paid your taxes, and then whether or not your shield is active or not. If your generator runs out of fuel and your shield goes down, then the environment, the sandstorms that happen on a regular basis, regardless of whether it's in the deep desert or Haga Basin, the sandstorms get you everywhere. This is Dune after all. when the sandstorms start to beat on an unshielded base, it will cause deterioration and it will cause those structures to decay and demolish over time, especially if you're someone that hasn't logged in for quite a while. I think they've said that a full generator can run for 20 days on enough energy cells to fill it up and keep a shield going. Obviously, that depends on the size of your structure. You may need multiple generators, so that's something to keep into account. But whenever you get to the point that your generators run out of fuel, your shield goes down, the sandstorms start to beat on your base. Eventually, it will decay and demolish and remove itself from the world, which will free up building zones for people that are actually active, and for people that are not even playing the game no more. That's one way to rid those structures from the game, so that the game doesn't turn into a building ghost town of people that aren't even logging in no more, because that can be a serious issue if there's no mechanic in place to deal with that kind of thing.
Taxed on a cycle, and yeah, if you don't end up paying that, then you'll lose your shield privileges, which will mean that the base will start taking damage.
It's like the
That's
base,
sort of a maintenance cost for it.
right? And also like the base subfief is not taxed.
No, the first subfief is not taxed, so only when you progress further into the game.
Right now I'm claiming more land, which is something you can do with the advanced subfief console. So I'm gonna claim this land, and as we play, Camille is also gonna claim some more. You can keep advancing, expanding your base until you have 6 land claims. So it's quite a big area.
Yeah.
It's not infinite, obviously, but it's still quite big.
Yeah, you have the staking unit working over there, right? And the more segments you've claimed, the longer this will take, right? And if this was a PvP area, this is a process that can be fought over, right?
Yeah, you see you have a countdown here. And Camille is...
Okay, so that was very interesting, because that was actually one of the first times I've ever seen anybody talk about the staking units. Right here, they're showing them placing down a staking unit, and you can see it shows right here that it's an invalid position. I think that's because it's inside the already captured build zone that the player already has control of right here. So this right here, you can see the build zone that they already own. The whole purpose of the staking unit is to claim more territory and expand your build zone. So obviously you would take this item, put it out here, and then it would allow you to expand this way or vertically or whatever, you know, just based on where you're placing it. One of the cool things they did say that, and we saw when he placed it down, it was on a timer. So you put it down and then it counts down to a certain amount of time, and then it becomes active and adds that space to your build range. They did just say, and this is something I'd never heard before, but it's very interesting, is that when you place down a staking unit in a PvP environment like the deep desert, where you're building your fob and trying to set up control over an area, that timer is available to be fought over until that timer actually runs out. So that means that when you place it down, it's not a given that you're going to get it. You have to stand there and defend it. Your team will have to defend it until it actually counts down the timer and it says, you know, this claim is now part of yours. So that was really cool, I thought. I wanted to kind of point that out because I'd never heard that before.
I'm going to claim some more. You can keep advancing, expanding your base until you have 6 land claims. So it's quite a big area.
Yeah.
It's not infinite, obviously, but it's still quite big.
Yeah, you have the staking unit working over there, right? And the more segments you've claimed, the longer this will take, right? And if this was a PvP area, this is a process that can be fought over, right?
Yeah, you see you have a countdown here. And Camille has started to build here, so we can build our base together. That's a good thing in the game here.
So right here is a good example of what I call clipping, and if you hear me refer to clipping later on in the build video at some point, you'll know what I'm meaning now. This shows how the building piece absorbs itself into the environment when the height is higher than the building piece itself, and then there are spots where it's actually lower type of thing. You can see how this foundation actually fits itself into this ridge line of the game's territory, physical territory level, and this can allow for very interesting things in your build. I really like the fact that the pieces are clipping like this, because in some games the clipping can be very unforgiving, to where if you try to place a piece like a foundation that has to clip inside the terrain to be able to place itself, it will not allow you to place, and that's very frustrating because you always then have to look for a perfectly flat spot or a spot that you can make up the elevation by raising and lowering or stacking foundations or something of that manner to be able to allow you to build a solid structure to begin your base. This is very pleasing to see that the pieces do clip like this, and it's very forgiving. And I have seen lots of examples of clipping where people are shoving foundations into the side of, you know, structures like spires and cliff sides, and that's very, very appealing for your more advanced builders. They know what they can do with this, because this allows you to add ambiance, if you will, inside your base, because then you can have parts of the rock wall coming into your base and giving it decoration and texture through the use of the landscape, and that's very, very appealing from a builder's point of view.
Let me just show you the basics of building here.
I think it's also important to mention that you can claim not just vertically but also horizontally. Right.
Yeah, you can expand in either dimension, right? So you can.
And that's a very good point, because you can keep on building high. Like you can build super cool bases on top of these peaks, find a nice elevated place, and just build a cool base. And we're going to see examples of that, you know, later.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you don't have to expand horizontally if you don't want to. You could expand vertically and get what you need in terms of caps from that as well.
Yeah, and here Camille has placed some projections, so we can fill these. So you can just design your base and let others help construct it.
Yeah, those projections are also useful for planning out your design if you don't have enough resources available.
And also we see you like put out foundations first here to kind of have some stability going.
Yeah. That's where the stability comes from, the foundations, and from that point you can expand further with walls and other structures.
So an important thing your base is going to need is power, as we talked about, to power the shields. So I'm going to place a generator here. Now you can't get power from nothing, you have to have fuel for it. But we have a bit here, so I'm going to add the fuel.
Also, I just want to mention that we're actually cheating here a little bit. So we have dehydration off, and we also don't have sunstroke.
Yeah.
So just so you know, just so makes it easier for us to actually show all the things that we want to show.
You can focus on building here.
Yes, exactly.
And here you can see the shields are now active.
Yeah. You can see it on the generator there, and on the subtweef console effect that you have underneath there.
So, and you can move things you placed. You can't move building pieces, but you can move your placeables. And you can also easily, you can see here on my right side, I can control what I want to do. Piece picker, repair, move, demolish, or build. And this is very, very handy, and you can just, on a mouse and keyboard, you can just swap between it with a right click. So with piece picker, you can easily pick the piece you want, and now you have it selected.
Yeah, that's how we allow you to do most building-related activities, just with the use of one tool.
And demolish, the moment you remove a piece, you get full refund on the resources.
Okay, so that was something that I want to make sure you heard him say. He said whenever you do demolish a piece, you get full refund of all resources when you do that. A lot of games are not that forgiving, so that is something that's going to be such a big quality of life issue. Because in some games, when you demolish a foundation, all the stone, thatch, wood, or whatever it was you gathered that went into building that just goes bye-bye. And then you've got to go harvest it again to build that same piece over again in a different location or whatever you're doing. But this will allow you to change and mix up your build and move it around and kind of decide how you want it to be without having to constantly go harvest resources, and that's going to be a huge quality of life feature.
Which I personally love.
Yeah.
Because it just makes it like, so you don't make mistakes and you get like punished for it, or like if
It's
you don't
not a
like
disaster
something.
if
I
you
love
make a
that.
mistake,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And also we've now put down some storage chests, as you can see, which is very cool as well, because you can actually craft but also build straight out of those storage chests.
Yes.
And that right there is freaking huge. The fact that you can build straight out of your storage without actually having to have the items in your inventory, that is such a pain in some games to where you actually have to carry the items on you to be able to place the structures, the components for the structures is what I'm meaning. The fact that you can just throw down a piece, and as long as you have the granite or whatever is required in your base's storage boxes, it will automatically draw from that. That is huge quality of life, and so I'm very glad to see that. Oh my God, I can't tell you how glad I am to see that for real.
It will automatically take the resources you have.
Yeah, as long, of course, as you do have those resources collected, as you have them available. And talking about that, we have Camille, who is now also going out to harvest some resources for us. We actually have enough to build and show some more things. So he's on the way to collect some granite.
And here you can see another building set being used as well.
Yeah. I started dipping into the Chome foundation here. So at the moment we have the starter building set is the Chome shelter.
Okay, and now we are actually switching over to Camille.
Yeah.
So that was interesting because that was a look at a different build style. You start with the Chome shelter foundation, and then you moved into
Chome shelter.
Okay, and now we are actually switching over.
You moved into the other Chome shelter and then the Chome facility. So that showcased different building styles. You seen that it was the tan color and then it went to the white, and that was very cool seeing those differing styles there. That's the first time I've seen a different style besides the just basic Chome shelter.
Harvest some resources for us. We actually have enough to build and show some more things. So he's on the way to collect some granite.
And here you can see another building set being used as well.
Yeah. I started dipping into the Chome foundation here. So at the moment we have the starter building set is the Chome shelter.
Okay, and now we are actually switching over to Camille.
Yeah.
Yes. So we actually do see him driving the mining buggy.
Out looking for some resources.
Yes.
So let's see what we find.
Yes, you can see he has a mining turret on top there.
Yeah. So this is a more advanced version of mining, right? So you can drive around, you're looking for some resource node or some wreck that you want to mine from. And once you find something you like this node here, you can just jump into the turret and mine it for some resources. And this is a lot more effective than doing it on foot.
He's doing it on his own now, but of course you can do it with a friend, so one
Yeah.
can drive and the other one can use the turret.
For sure.
Goes way faster.
And he's missing a bit there. I need to back up.
Yeah.
So this is cool if you have one driver and one miner.
Yeah, it's
So
easier
it's-
than
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So that makes it a bit easier. But
There we
it
go.
is, it's possible with just one
efficient.
person.
Yes, it's more efficient. You get more material that way as well.
Yeah.
So you mine some carbon here.
All right. Now, are we heading back or looking for more resources? See what we find.
So he's driving in Jabal Afrit now, which is above the rift. So you can see there's a lot of elevation here. This is a cool place to build tall buildings. Or I like building buildings, bases hanging out over ledges, for example. Can be very fun.
Yeah, you can build up on those spires if you want to, and
Yeah, I think we can go back and do some more building.
Yes, okay, so we were talking about the different building sets. Right now we're showing off the Chom sets. As I said, you start with this one, Chom Shelter. The next one here is Chom Facility. These you can learn with just progressing, basically. But in addition, you have Atreides and
Okay, right here we have our first look at a faction-specific build set. So this is very cool. This is one of the key things that I took away from this live stream part that they did on building, was where we actually got to see the Atreides, which is designated by their little eagle hawk symbol right here. And then you see this is Harkonnen over here, because this is the well-known Harkonnen symbol for the faction Harkonnen. These are the two Chom building sets, the facility and the basic one at the start. But right now they're showcasing the Harkonnen, or the Atreides building set. You can see he is in the walls section. So each one of these different designations of types of building structures is going to have that unique Atreides flair, and the same thing for the Harkonnen are going to be the same way. We'll see those in just a second, but you can see these little walls with the special little round force fields. Yeah, the integration of the green and the sand color, and it's very, very pleasing. You can see these are the structures that look like they have like the banners built in, all the little cosmetic appeal, like the wall screen built in type thing, the way the pieces have this distinctive, design on them, which will carry over as you stack on top of each other. You'll have this ribbing that will go up and down and to the side. So this is very, very cool to see, because this is your individual faction build sets, and these are so nice to look at. They make a really beautiful base, and we'll see some of those completed styles here in just a minute. Then we'll let the video play just a second, and okay, so now we get to see the Harkonnen set start with.
Harkonnen building.
You got the then this is going to be more apparent as we see the finished builds here in just a little bit. The huge distinction between the two styles. They really did a great job with distincting the factions. And what do I mean by that? Well, you'll see here in just a little bit, when you actually get your first glimpse at a Harkonnen structure, there's no mistaking that build style for Atreides. Atreides and Harkonnen look completely different, and they each have their unique appeal, and I love to see that, because that shows thought in design, and it's very, very aesthetically pleasing to builders, because we want stuff to look nice, we want it to look pretty, we want it to look imposing, we want it to look whatever we're going for, whatever kind of thing we have in our head. And these distinctive build style cosmetic appeal is just really conducive to that kind of an environment.
Pieces, and for these you got to align with one of the factions.
yeah, so you progress from one to the other, and then you can pick one of the faction sets, and depending on which faction you're aligned to.
So we're going to show much more of Harkonnen and Atreides later. I have ready-made bases to show from that. As you can, so Arna didn't get the angle right, so then you just demolish and you just build again. There you go. And in Dune Awakening, it's just, you can see we've added more and more, expanded from Conan Exiles. So there are basically building pieces for every slot. If you have a hole in your building, there is a piece for it.
So you actually expanded on the type of pieces that you can have while building.
Yeah, there are quite a lot of piece
Conan Exiles.
varieties.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I quite like, for example, the half height. So you have half height walls. This will work well with the roofs, because some of them are not just flat. They are they build up, a 1/2 height. So you can see here. Let's see. One more. There.
There you go.
So you have basically a piece for every slot.
You may also note that if you're familiar with Exiles building, that the building pieces here are quite a bit bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
That really helps with repetition. If you're building a base and you feel that the pieces just keep repeating and it becomes a bit boring, with the bigger pieces you get less of that. So it's more visually interesting.
Yeah, and it also helps when you're building a huge base, because you want to accommodate the vehicles that we see there, or even bigger vehicles that we have.
So right now I'm just mixing and matching a little bit here. So here you can see the second tier has different colors. The Harkonnen and Atreides building set are very different. They have very different colors and looks, and they have their own unique pieces. Chom here has some unique pieces as well. For example, like these ones, you can build these open areas, so you can basically build sort of little verandas, I would say. I built it just inside here now. But the Harkonnen and Atreides have even more unique pieces, so we're going to look at them later also. But especially things like the gates are massive and iconic. So the Atreides gate, for example, has a huge hawk on it, while the Harkonnen one has a big face. So we're going to show them in bases later.
Yeah. The higher end pieces, or the higher end sets, also have quite a bit more pieces than the lower end sets.
Here you can see the Harkonnen walls, for example. We can just place one here now, just to take a quick look.
There's a wall in.
And this right here is a really good side-by-side comparison of what I was meaning earlier about the thought given to design of the different build styles. This right here is a Harkonnen wall piece, and you can see the distinct difference between the two. Atreides, or Chom, over here is what we're seeing, the Chom structures, and this is Harkonnen. Wow, completely opposite, completely different. It gives a whole nother feel to a Harkonnen structure. Is just like imposing and in your face and industrial, it's just so cool looking, and the thought that went into the design is just so neat. And then the Chom structures are all about desert survival, so they're built to blend into the landscape type thing, using the materials that are natural in the area. Harkonnen looks almost otherworldly. It's so cool. I just can't tell you how much I love the design in the building pieces.
Camille there.
Yes.
It's quite a different style.
You see the style is completely
It's very different, yeah.
and unique, right? Because this structure here will allow tons of creativity, because you can make all sorts of shapes. You can put these on tops of your bases or on the bottom. And we'll see a lot of that in that the players have built
Yes,
also
I was
later.
just about to mention that.
Yeah.
We'll actually see that later on when we do show some buildings that our beta testers have built in the beta. Yeah, so once you have your build, of course, you start to also add machinery, right? Like to really establish your base.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's lots to choose from here. For example, we have shown a little bit of power generation. We can place a wind turbine here. So this will allow us to get more power.
Yeah, it's the next level of progression from the generator that you saw. Generates a bit more efficient.
And here you can see there are...
One of the things that I really like the talk of is the progression in the building system is what they're showing right there. They showed those wind turbines as being the next level of progression from the power generation. The power generators. That is something that's super cool to see because I'm the type of person when I'm playing these kind of games and I'm into the building system, I want to have levels of progression so that I can feel like I'm advancing. I want to not only have a generator at the start, but then I want to focus on trying to find the schematics and the tech points and the abilities to build some of these higher end generation systems, and that applies to anything we're doing, like higher end fabricating stations, higher end repair stations, higher end blood, absorbing stations that you make your water out of the blood. Those kind of things give you progression, and it's really cool to see the thought that they've put into this, because I can put down a normal generator, but then I can also progress it up to a wind turbine so that when people look at my base, they say, he's got the next level progression. He's got these super wind turbines that do 350 current. This one does 150, this one does 75, and you can see the progression in the systems, and that's super, super cool, honestly.
Years, right? As you progress in the game, you will unlock these. And
they get big.
Yeah. Yes, they get really big. This is something really helpful in the game. This wind trap, it will help gather water for you. So it will automate survival a little bit. You don't have to go out hunt for so much water. You will be able to find it in your base, and it will fill cisterns that you can place also.
Yeah, again, it's a bit more convenient to deal with the water pressure as you go along.
Of course, it gets more complicated as well because you have to make sure you have more power, you have enough power, and that they're all on the right circuit and all that. So the bigger you build, the more kind of management is also asked of you.
Right, there you have a fabricator. So this is the first one you'll get access to, and this one can be used to fabricate basic equipment from different categories. So let's see how that looks.
Yeah, so we can just start making making a pistol, for example, and you can see it actually, you see it forming as it crafts. So, and of course you will be able to advance with different kinds of fabricators for different purposes. The biggest one is the huge vehicle fabricator here.
Yeah.
I have one in a big base we're going to look at later, but they're hard to place, so you need a lot of room.
Yeah, so this first one can be used to craft from many different categories, right? But as you go deeper into the technology, then you'll branch out and build more specific fabricators. For example, this one specialized for garments, and then you have other ones for weapons or vehicles, as you saw.
And as you craft, you're going to need more and more resources. So there are refineries, and for example, here we have spice refineries. Place one of them. The biggest one of them is gigantic. So you see
now you ran out of power.
I went over my power limit, so now we need more power generation. So these are things you got to keep in mind as you build and as you expand.
You see that information on the sub-thief as well. You can actually check how much power is needed, and
you can always go in here and see how you're doing. And you can refuel all your generators from here. So if you have a huge base, lots of land claimed, you have wind turbines all over the place, you can refuel them from this one.
Very
Yeah.
convenient.
Yeah.
Another thing that I love too is the fact that I think I briefly mentioned it earlier as well, that you can craft from those storages that you have directly. Another thing I really love though is the fact that you can actually move those chests without having to empty them first,
Yeah.
which is something that I really appreciate.
That makes it a lot more convenient if you want to rearrange your base. You don't have to
exactly.
move items.
I just wanted to make sure you caught what they just said there. That's huge. I mean, that's huge. That's some more of that evidence of intricate design and quality of life enhancements. The fact that you can take a storage container and move it without having to empty it first and then move it and then put those items back in it. That may sound silly to a lot of you, and you're like, well, yeah, why wouldn't you be able to do that? But you would not believe the amount of games that punish you with inventory and storage and carrying capacity. Whereas if you want to take your storage box and move it from point A to point B because you don't like where it's at, then you have to unload it, put it all in your inventory, possibly take some of that stuff and put it in a different storage container because you're over your carrying capacity or your weight limit, then move the item, then take it, and it's just a nightmare. The fact that you can pick up a storage unit that's full and move it from one location to the other without having to unload it first is a huge quality of life. Things like that and crafting straight out of storage, awesome. Love it. Love it.
Items out of your chests before you move them.
It's a little quality of life thing that makes
helps
such
a
a
lot.
huge difference. Yeah, absolutely.
So here, place the next tier of wind trap. As long as you have a shielded base, all your placeables, your decorations, all your utilities, they are also shielded. So even if they are on the roof, they have protection.
We talked about the different building sets, of course. You mentioned factions and things that we have for right now. And from what I understand, we will also have, after release, we also have Twitch drops that will be giving you some new pieces. No, we want to spoil any more details about that, but there's opportunities for people
I can
to
say
get
I've been
inside.
looking at them recently.
And they look amazing, don't they? Yeah,
genuinely.
okay. Which is a bit mean that we're saying that now without showing them, but they are actually
They're not
looking
far off,
very
though.
cool.
You know, they're
Very
gonna
cool.
come.
No, that's not that far off. That's true.
We'll see them
that's true.
soon, right?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. So I'm personally very excited about that too, and it looks very cool, that set, that specific set.
In addition to
This right here is a very interesting and pleasing screen to see because this shows some of the intricacy in design of cosmetic style placeables to allow you to give your structure some life. You know, it's one thing to build a box and go inside that box and have all the storage you need and, you know, be a box base. A lot of people will build those for efficiency's sake because they want to capture all of the available builds, you know, radius that they have. So they'll just take their building range in a square, they'll build a box that completely encompasses all that space horizontally, vertically, every square inch of it, and they're like, yes, I have all this space inside my base, I can now do whatever I want, you know, multiple layers, all that kind of stuff. But it's another complete thing to actually build a base that has function and has room to move and do the things you need to do, but also has style and flair. And these are the kind of things that allow you to get those types of feels. You've got tables, you've got chairs, you've got different kinds of floating light structures, you've got all different sorts of little decorative columns and sconces and end caps, and it's just really, really cool. You've got your furniture, you've got your deco, you've got wall deco, you've got ornamental, you've got all different kinds of little placeables that you can put on your tables to make it look like somebody just had a meal there, and it just adds to the feel of the structure and makes it feel alive. In some of these building contests that they do later on in the video where they show the pre-made, or not the pre-made, but the player-made structures and all the intricacy that went into cosmetically dressing all these areas up, it's just mind-blowing. And as the game progresses, this is just at release, so consider that. Consider the fact that this is the options you have at release. Farther on down the road, when they release new cosmetic packs and new, themed cosmetic packs that have to do with new content that are coming out or whatever, that's just going to expand and get greater. Conan was very well known for its building system in its cosmetic placeables, because that allowed you to make your structures in Conan feel so alive and so interesting. When you would go into somebody's base and you'd be like, wow, look how they did those plants and those, that column and that structure, and it's so neat to see these kind of things. And I'm just sorry, I'm nerding out on this.
So here you can see a base I've built, and as long as you have this item and you have enough land claim, you can now place out the projection of this base.
Yeah, so the way this works is that you can craft one of those solido replicators, and with that you can then copy a design of a previous base and place it somewhere else. Or you can sell it to someone, or...
So this is something that I am just so excited about. This solido replicator and the ability to copy a base structure and then sell it or place it in another location or give it to a friend, and now they can have your build. You'll notice that he is starting the process of trying to place a fully built structure. How amazing is that? That's so cool. He had the ability to raise and lower it. We just seen him do that, probably through the use of like the mouse wheel or something. You can change the height of the structure. A lot of people have, had questions about, will this work if the terrain is not exactly like what it was where the blueprint was actually created? That ability to adjust and lower the height will be very forgiving in a lot of those situations, because you will have differing terrain slopes at different places. You will be trying to place these in different types of locations. Like, let's say somebody built on just a flat spot, and you're trying to put this now structure on close to the edge of a cliff or whatever. The ability to clip and the ability to raise and lower height will allow you to be more forgiving as far as where you can then take these structures and place them later. Obviously, the smaller the structure footprint is, the easier it's going to be for you to find a place that you can put it. If it's huge, that's going to be a lot more difficult. So it is going to take some practice to be able to know, just by looking at a blueprint heads-up view of the solido replicator that you're thinking about buying, whether you think you can actually place it where you want to or not. That's going to take some practice and some time invested in learning the system to know, right offhand. That's where your really experienced builders are going to be super handy, because you can tell them, hey, check out this blueprint on the exchange and look at the preview of the building structure. Do you think I can place that here? And that's where your experienced builders are going to be able to say, yeah, I think that will work because of, the structural support that you have right here will allow you to, blah, blah, blah. And that's going to be where some of your more experienced builders are going to be really good sources of information for your guild, because people are going to be asking that question all the time. Do you think I can buy this and then put it here? That's going to be something that's going to need to be answered, and your experienced builders are going to find that role very useful for them.
Yeah, we actually talked about that as well in one of the later segments. Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, something that's very
So here
important.
you can see me placing the base I was just previewing. So first you gotta try and adjust it to find a spot, and once you place it, you can then confirm. So now it is placed. Now I cannot see it anymore, but the moment I build my building tool up. I put it here. Now I can see the outline of this base, and I can start filling in the pieces. Now, even if I copied it and I placed it out, you still need to place out the building pieces. Like you don't get them for free, right? You have to craft your base.
Yeah.
So that's an answer to a question that gets asked a lot, and it probably seems second nature to a lot of us that are used to survival games and building mechanics. But I have seen a lot of people say, hey, when I buy a blueprint and I place it down, does it just automatically give me the pieces I need, the resources I need to build it as well? They just answered that for you right there. No, you will have to gather the resources or have them on hand to be able to then fill in the cost for each piece. So right here, you see where they place the blueprint structure and they are able to actually fill in those holographic projections with the resources that they have on hand, because somewhere they have a storage box that has the granite or the whatever they need to actually build each one of these structures, and it's pulling from that storage to allow them to do it. Eventually they'll get to a place where they can't, and they will have to then go harvest to get more to be able to do it. But you place the blueprint, you can then see the outline, and you go in and you fill in each piece to then actually build it. But the hard part of the construction and the thought in the design is already done for you, and that's super cool. That's going to save a lot of people that are not builders a lot of stress and time trying to figure out how to make a base when they don't really care to do that. Maybe they're not into building and they just want to get to PvP as fast as possible. Well, this will allow them to have a super cool base and feel sexy and still get this, feel from the game as far as blending into the environment and having aesthetics and flair and all that. So that's super cool. I can't talk about that, how cool that is enough.
And this base is basically, the idea of it is that it's a forward operating base that could be very handy for the deep desert, because it has several places for shielded ornithopters, and basically a core structure that has a lot of room for crafting machines and stuff like that.
We can actually show that, because we have a video prepared for what it actually looks like once you have it completely built again.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll save you a lot of time
and
each
there
week.
it is. And there it is.
Okay, so you knew I had to stop right here because this is one of our first examples of what an Atreides build style and the intricacies in the Atreides patterns are like. You see your gate here with the hawk, you see the banners, you see the ribbing of the columns, you see the circular doorways and the look of the doorways themselves, the lattice work and the screening built into the walls. These are all indicative of the Atreides style, the coloring, the sandstone and the green and the browns, and this is just how it all fits together. It's nice. I like it. I like it a lot, and it's a very interesting style and can make some unique builds. You see the archways and the swept wing looking construction in the build, and that's indicative of the hawk, and that's so cool, the thought that went into design.
And that's
a great looking base.
That's Torgil magic right there. Yeah. So it gives you an opportunity to see like all the things that you can do. You have like those different doors here that you can actually just fly in or drive through without having to open and close, even though they're like kind of, you can't go in there if you don't have permission. Penta shields, exactly. You also see the big wind traps on the side. Those are actually
wind turbines.
Wind turbines.
Yes. And so here's the interesting part. You can build creatively just for beauty's sake, or you can build very efficiently and just make a box. That's up to you. And here I sort of combined it a bit. I made it reasonably concise, square shaped to be easier to place out, and but still I've added a little bit of flourish here. You can see especially the Atreides pieces, the wings, which is a unique Atreides feature here, and the gate you see there. But it's of course functional for the deep desert with the ornithopters.
Good
and you have
access
room for them.
points, exactly, on the roof. And also like they lend itself really well to like kind of mirror like buildings, those specific pieces, which is very
and
cool.
you see those pentashields there, they fully protect you against the shields and protect against the storms.
Yes.
And they protect the vehicles against the storm damage as well.
So just make sure you have enough power and you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can actually now switch again and check out some other faction buildings.
Yes. So right now we're
So this right here is a chome structure building, and the reason why I pause this right here is I want to take a minute to just look at verticality. Verticality in this game is freaking amazing, okay? I'm just gonna say that this is amazing. I love the way that you're able to expand your build radius range vertically like this by the use of the staking structures and the staking rods and claiming it what looks like obviously in a vertical direction. We can't see the build zone around this structure, so we don't know how far horizontally it expands. But it's a big area. I mean, look at how big this area is. This must be one of the more fully advanced FIF consoles and the range that you're given to do that with. The horizontal space in this structure is massive. It's quite pleasing because I think it will give you a big enough range to where you can do whatever you want horizontally. Then when you look vertically, this is just amazing. I love the way these structures are built into these spires like this. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably what I'm gonna do because I really love these style bases. Now I know that a lot of people really dig the cliffside bases. I think those are super sexy too, but this right here really speaks to me. This is something that I am going to try to incorporate because yeah, it can be a lot of work to traverse all this stuff. You have ramps and stairways to get places, and I don't really know about teleporters in this game or anything like that because I don't know how far into the technology they go. I'm not really sure how that translates into Dune lore, if there's even such a thing. So it looks like you're going to have to traverse on foot to get to these different areas, or you could hop in your ornithopter from here and fly up to this level and land, and boom, you're there. Or you can drive your car up a ramp and then you're in, you know, type of thing. Can I drive my sand bike up these stairs, up this ramp and drive? You know, I can build that. I can totally build that. So I could have this little, you know, amusement park type thing going on here. So yeah, I really like this. It's going to come down to, for me, about style but also functionality. So if I can't make these buildings like this big enough for me to do what I need to do inside, but you can see the platforms and how they can extend away from the structure big enough to allow you to build like platform different leveling type bases, because this could be one solid enclosure in a tower form and you could have multiple levels inside there, and you could probably house all of your crafting and all that kind of stuff in just one area like this. So the lighting underneath, how it draws attention, and at night I bet this looks so cool when the outer environment gets darker and this lighting right here starts to go off from the distance. Wow, that probably looks amazing. And you're seeing the structural support right here you can see where they've stacked foundations all the way to the ground. I think that is to provide, you know, aesthetics, but also functional as far as structural support, so that you can then, you know, do this this little leanway here with the expansion of the floors outside the structural support range. They'd probably hit their limit somewhere about right around in here before it would require more structural support to then expand farther. But you also have to take into account your horizontal build radius as well. But man, this looks so cool, and just the fact that you can go so far up vertically, that is a huge height. I'm trying to just kind of wrap my head around just how tall that is, and I can't even really see the top of the structure, but let's just kind of guess. 1, 2, we're looking at walls as a height level, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm guessing like 16 or 20 tall, and the size of these pieces are so that they're bigger than most normal games. So when you talk about stacking 3 on top of each other, you went quite a ways up in the air at that point. So that's, wow, this is just amazing. I love this. And that pentashield, those are so cool, because I am somebody that I always really like having glass structure so that I can see through it, because I like to be able to see the world from inside my building, because I don't want to be that hermit that just stays in my building all day in my dark little cave and can't see what's going on around me. I like these kinds of things, and I really hope in the future that we get like some glass walls or some glass ceilings or glass flooring that we can see through, so that we can bring the environment inside and the light, natural light inside. Because they're using Unreal to develop the game, I know the Lumen technology is really sweet, so it can allow a lot of that interior lighting from exterior lighting sources like the sun to really brighten up your build spaces and make them feel more inviting. Or if you're going for that dark cave feel, then you can do that as well, you know, type of thing. But I really like this. This is super cool. The interior space that's inside this structure is just crazy amazing. I love the way it feels inside. When you go through that pentashield and you've seen all those vehicles sitting on the floor like that, and you have this much space to kind of bounce around using your suspensor belt technology, that's crazy. I love this.
And here we have a nice resting area.
So here we have chome decorations, which I really like. The walls here, the bed, and you can really, if you want to...
It's very 70s, isn't it? Like a little bit. Or is it? Yeah, 70s?
Yeah, you could say.
Here's another just kind of more intricate look of the designs of the cosmetics. This is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about making spaces feel alive. Even if it's not really functional, you could have people sitting here having a meeting, doing your thing, you know, using your spatial audio to where you could actually feel like you're having a meeting together or something. And this space is just so cool. I don't know if you can actually sit in chairs or lay in beds, but I'm going to assume you can. And just, it's just so cool. These items on the table, and it has kind of a 70s kind of vibe to it, you know, with the kind of structure, furniture structure that we, you know, have witnessed from retro of the past, and it's so neat. I love this.
Bit of a vibe.
Yeah, quite like the bookshelves here. So you see, like, even if, okay, Dune Awakening is, you know, it focuses on survival, you have to, you know, beware of the sandworm, the sandstorms, you can still do things like this. You can still be creative, you can still build if that's what you want to do. And here I'm playing around with elevation here inside, and you see that as we get outside also.
You gotta chill sometimes too, you know, like You
Yeah,
gotta like
exactly.
enjoy your spice tea and yeah.
Yes, and yes, because you can see there's lots of cutlery and cups and nice things, right? And you can just build this with your guild and have a nice time. It doesn't all have to be about, you know, maximizing profits and fighting.
Exactly.
Nice combination with the functional downstairs there and then the sitting area
The
above.
social areas, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I
Okay.
agree.
So I'm gonna head up so that we can get a bit better look at.
And also really
the
nice to
space.
see the verticality here as well, like how you can build, like also like nicely built into the mountainside here.
Yes, and we'll see that as I get into the thopter here. So here we have a chome thopter. We're just going to take off and take a little look at the base here. So here you can see the combination of the two chome sets. You
The more sandy color for the basic one, and then the white one
Yeah.
for that one.
and they kind of they
Okay, so this right here gives you a feel of the total verticality of this structure. Wow, look at the height that you can achieve with an advanced sub 5 console and staking units. That's nuts. I can't even get a good guess about what I think this is in structures tall. I'm guessing 20 to 30 structures tall, possibly 30 or more maybe. This top spire is just hugely up there. I mean, look at the verticality on this. This is nuts. So cool. And when you're outside looking at these spaces, they deceive you as far as how big they are actually on the inside. So like when he came through this pentashield at the bottom and you saw that one initial starting area where the multiple vehicles were parked and he was kind of using his suspensor belt to float around from level to level. That's an insane amount of interior space feel. And then this one up here is going to be bigger than it appears on the inside of this area as well too. Run up this ramp, go through the doorway, and you're now in this space right here. I hope he showcases that. That's going to be interesting to see. But just the amount of space that's inside these little additions to the structure are very, very deceiving as far as how much space is actually in there. Wow, I love this. I'm totally doing this, something like this. Yeah, that's amazing.
I feel they really fit in with Dune here, the style of them. You know,
Making use of the verticality here in this
Yes.
limited space, right?
yes, exactly. And because this is an obvious thing in Dune Awakening that you may not think about, like you cannot build a base anywhere. If you build it out in the sand, it's
Well,
gonna
you
get
can,
eaten.
but
It won't last long.
you can
No.
in like
The worm is going to have a great
practicality,
time.
but,
Yes.
yes.
So, and up here, for example, I have a chome assault thopter, which is a ornithopter, which is a little bit bigger than I have here. And yeah, so you can see you can build both functionally and, you know, if you want to play around with building beautiful things, you can do that. So we've gotten a peek at this base here. I built a little veranda here actually. Just
It's nice how you see those Prudence doors glowing there from a distance.
Yeah, and here you can see these unique chome pieces. For example, this here, so you
Yeah.
can have a little seating area.
The ones you mentioned earlier.
Oh, and we see the worm.
Ooh,
But we are
it is
safe
close
in there.
though. Oh my god, it's very close.
He can't get up here, so everything is all right. All right, so I'm gonna head over to an Atreides base. By the way, I'm in. I have the sunset die, the swatch for the thopter. So, and this is part of the pre-order reward. So now, yeah, we see the worm below us actually. That's quite fun.
A bit too
Safe
close.
up there. So some code, you're not safe in the area if you're too close. Just we mentioned that just now. Like, yeah, if you get into the beta, you can test how close you can get with the ornithopter to the storm before, to the worm before it's.
So our thopter here has a couple of modules. It has a boost, so I can fly faster. The clue there is not to overheat. And I have a scanner. You can just scan a little bit, and then reveals resources as you go. You can see the area is quite decent on this. So we're just flying towards the shield wall. I've built a big Atreides base up here.
Yeah.
Right now, this is a trade post we see in front of us. So this is an important location for players because you can find trainers here, you can trade, you can find contracts, all sorts of things.
It's a hub for activities in the region, right?
Yeah. On our right here we have Vermilius Gap, and on our left we have Misatril and the Odam, and then we have the shield wall up here. So now you can actually.
So I'm not really sure the actual area he is flying to right now. I think he's going to this base up here to showcase the Atreides style that he has built. But here's another example of a base that either he has built or a player has built in the testing environment. And this shows kind of on the edge of the chome structures and how they look on the edge of a structure to where you can just get like a massive view of everything that's going on. I like that too. That's very visually appealing. I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy the cliffside bases. They're just so very appealing. This one is obviously where he's going because you can see the Atreides style in the wings and then how the wings can be incorporated into a cliffside build hanging off the edge. Wow, that's going to be really cool to see.
Actually you can see my base here coming into view. Built a big Atreides base here. This is using all 6 land claim areas. So this is basically, it's filling out, you can build a little bit bigger but not a lot.
So that was a really key piece of information that I want to make sure you capture right there. He said this is using all 6 land claim areas. I'm assuming, and I don't know this for sure because I got kind of confused about this point before when I heard them say this the first time I watched this. I think he means that this is an advanced subfief range, and then they've used 6 staking structures to claim more space. He said you can build just a little bit bigger than this, but not much. So this possibly gives you an idea of what a maximum build range could feel like. Earlier we saw the verticality, and that was insane. Okay, I'm just going to say that was insane. This right here encompasses some verticality, but also more horizontal capture. So this is a very interesting look at what, you know, possibly your maximum build style could be. In the past, before they released this video with this information, we were constantly looking at structures that they were showing in the videos, and we couldn't tell whether those structures were actually points of interest and created for just the player to interact with, or whether they were actually allowable for players to actually build that big. But here's an example of big building to where you can actually encompass a lot of space. I don't know how close he is to his building piece limit in this example right here, but you know, it is possible that you could possibly do some walls down and encompass a lot of this empty space right here into more of a box style base build, or you could just go for aesthetics and just have pillars and you know, differing levels and things of that nature. So that's a very interesting look at what he calls a maximum build zone. That's really cool.
And here you can really see the verticality. I built along the cliff here, and you can see the Atreides wings. So these jut out. You see the unique Atreides colors here.
That's great for that spot.
It's a nice spot, and it gives you a view of the whole, almost the whole map, right?
A new really great vantage point. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna settle down here. So just a quick look at, here you can see the Atreides pieces as they have been used, and these are
Really
unique.
big. They're
And
very
they have
big
unique
too.
walls, these wings, everything is unique here. So in the base here, for example, here I have the biggest vehicle fabricator right here. So it's a huge platform.
Some water storage there as well, I see.
Yeah.
Large water tanks.
And here the Atreides assault ornithopter with rocket pods there. So, and yeah, I'm gonna show you a little bit around this space. Actually, I want to show the front of it a little bit to show off the gate, because the Atreides gate I really love. I just want to take a quick look at it here from this side as well, because the hawk of the Atreides gate is really, it's both creative and sort of majestic. Cool here, so you can see.
Well, I prefer the Harkonnen, just saying. But,
Yeah, we're gonna show off another Harkonnen base soon also. But I've been promising you some decorations, so we're gonna take a look at them. So
You still see the combination of the functional there as well, with the
Yes.
the wind traps and the turbines.
and you can see the creativity here too, or
Yeah.
like the eye for building as well, because some people might just stack them next to each other somewhere down in the basement.
Yeah.
And here we have like, well, obviously not the.
You're lucky Tor Egil here isn't in the competition, right?
Okay, I just had to pause here because wow. I mean, just wow. Look at this. Look at the feel when you walked into this area, how it made you feel. It feels like an official space. It feels like a comfortable space, but yet something that is probably a high-ranking military officer or something that has influence and power and wealth. You see the mural on the wall and the screening that's allowing in natural light with the functional desk and table areas, and you see a little, bonsai tree here in the back, hologram it looks like, or something, I don't know, but this is so cool. Look at the rugs on the floor, the attention to detail in the cosmetic placeables. Look at this right here. It actually looks like it has a little wrinkle in the rug, the way it's laying on the floor. How crazy is that? And all the little placeables on the table. Oh, this mural though, when you walk into this space, it just punches you in the face and says, look at me. And it can be, telling a tale of lore in this mural right here. That is just, and the banners, wow. And the lighting, this is so, oh man, this is so good. My God.
That'd be
Well,
tough.
there's some pretty good.
There you go. We could
contestants
do
there.
that. Yeah, we could do that for the future though. Like meet Tor Egil.
That'd be something.
So here
Oh,
I've
this is
decorated an Atreides room. It's using both Atreides decorations and the Caladan Palace set.
Right, the one that you get when you pre-order.
Yes, you get it in the Ultimate Edition. So actually here I have the Terrarium
And the Muad'Dib as well.
You can see him in there. There he is.
Yes.
And yeah,
Another.
the Caladan Palace set is big. It has both building pieces and these decorations, so I can show you some unique things from it. For example, it has these unique wood panels that you can put on your walls. It has, you can see a portrait here. I think this is Paul's grandfather, Leto.
Leto the first, was it?
And yes. So you can see these are part of the Caladan Palace set, these nice furniture, and even some roof pieces, this roof piece, and these doors. So it's a fully functional, can build fully functional rooms with it. But and these holograms, you can see the decorations here. You can basically go pretty crazy. You can put together all sorts of things: bookcases, banners, holograms, glow globes, and up here we have a unique piece which is like a fresco. Players will be able to get access to this
Eventually.
eventually.
Yes. Yes.
That's a great looking piece though.
It is though. That mural
Yeah.
is fantastic. It's very beautiful. It's really big too though. It's huge. Yeah, this is
So-
amazing. I think we should maybe move over to a Harkonnen base now as well.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because let's go Harkonnen. No.
Yes.
Just has to see the contrast as
yes,
well.
it's a
That's the good
contrast.
side.
One of the things that is very pleasing to me are these verandas and these balcony type structures to where you can actually look out into the environment. I don't know what the view distance is going to be like. I'm assuming that you can probably change your view distance settings in your personal game settings, you know, as far as how the game will perform for you based on how far out you're allowing yourself to see before things start to pop in and out of the landscape. But this is amazing. This is so pleasing to see this kind of thing, because let's say my buddy has built a base over here and I'm over here. I'm going to be able to look across this expanse and see that. That's one of the reasons why I think it's going to be super cool for people in the guild to actually be on the same Haga Basin layer, because you can see your little guild city type area. And if you've ever played games like Ultima Online, Star Wars Galaxies, those kind of games that had overland building systems that allowed you to actually place your guild structures and people's houses together to where you could form your own little city. That's so fun and so cool, and something that I nerd out on really hard. So yeah, this is really pleasing to see this.
Right?
That's the right side.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go, and this is the moment a lot of you have been waiting for, the Harkonnen building style reveal. Whew, wow, look at these structures. These are imposing and industrial and black. This is amazing. This is a completely different aesthetic, a completely different feel from Chom, from Atreides. They are definitely distinct. That's a word you could use to really wrap a lot of meaning around this. Distinction. They put such thought into design about these building styles. These are so imposing and just intimidating. That's the feel you get from the Harkonnen build style, and that is completely in line with the lore, because the Harkonnen were in your face. They were rough, they were mean, they were military, they were imposing, they were all about, you know, getting in your face, and this is just their build style. I can't see it being any better than this. I mean, honestly, they have captured the feel of a faction in the build style. And the Atreides are the same. I mean, the Atreides are, you know, functional yet military yet aesthetically pleasing as well. They capture theirs really well. But I'm just going to say that the Harkonnen build style really captures what I feel the faction is all about the best out of the two. If I was to pick one of the two factions that we know about at this time that really captures the feel of that race of people, it's this one. Because this, if you didn't know anything about what the build styles looked like, and I showed you an Atreides and I showed you a Harkonnen, you would definitely know immediately which one was the Harkonnen. So this is, wow, these are super sexy.
All right. Cool.
There
We're
we
at
go.
the Harkonnen base now.
Cool. Now we have Camille outside the Harkonnen base. Yes, so he's just going to start off a little bit of interior here. So I built some nice rooms. There's the biggest spice refinery, by the way, on the right there. It's huge.
You need space for that one.
Yes, a massive base.
Quite a few stories told that.
That's a really good call out right there, because this is one of the biggest spice refinery industrial stations he just said, and you're going to need a lot of space for this one. This looks like it's 2, possibly 3 structures tall. It reminds me of a industrial forge in Ark, because it looks to be about the same size, except for the industrial forge in Ark had just a little bit bigger base. But this is very, very interesting, because this shows why some of your internal crafting areas will need to have verticality and openness so that you can place these big stations. When you start to get to the top end of your tech, these stations look like they become very imposing. So you're going to have to think about that in your design. It's definitely going to be a situation of where you want to set up a dedicated crafting station, more than likely. A lot of people may do their stations as more of a aesthetic design and just kind of fit them in here and there, but a lot of people that are wanting aesthetics plus functionality will look at building dedicated crafting rooms or dedicated crafting levels or whatever, to where everything just kind of flows. That way you can move from station to station and work in kind of a workshop area. That's something that I always personally really love to do, because I love to craft as well, and I love setting up workstation areas for crafting mechanics, because that's something that just really I love to do. I love to set up really efficient crafting stations, and I like to see how much I can cram in a small space type of thing and make those kind of videos, and that's going to be a lot of content that I do. So looking forward, to some of my future content, that's some of the things you can look forward to.
Yes, yeah, you need space for that one.
But yeah, we can see we're inside the Harkonnen structure. We're going to see it from the outside also. And we can take a look at the unique Harkonnen decorations. So, for example, straight ahead here, I have a little bedroom. You can see bed, and the style is very different.
Very dark,
Yes.
It is.
But it has a lot of unique details.
More rounder shapes.
It's just more organic,
Yeah.
like
Much
while
more.
the Atreides one is very like military, very like edges and.
So a little office here, and on the left, put in a few more lights with holograms and like a dining area here. So you see, it has a fully fledged set of decorations. I think you have to, you have to align with the faction to unlock these, and then you purchase them from their quartermasters, right, Leo?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
You have to work your way up the ranks.
You can take a quick trip outside. You can, Camille here, he has a Harkonnen ornithopter.
Oh, my favorite.
So
That's a nice looking one.
I love that so much because it actually looks like a dragonfly. It actually looks like an insect. It's
And
so incredible.
you get that in the same way, right? Progressing through the ranks and unlocking it.
Exactly.
yeah. So here you can see the base. You have a ground section, and then as you go up, you see built up on the ledge there, I built another base basically, but they're all connected. If you keep to the same grid, you can connect over big areas and vertically. So this is just a tip to, if you're in a building, just keep on the same grid, keep everything connected, and it will all match up. So you can see the unique round pieces here of the Harkonnen. Yeah, those decorated, those big heads are really awesome.
I agree.
And the gate with the huge face. You can see there.
Yeah, this is an amazing looking base.
It is though. Like
The
it's
first time I
huge.
saw it, I could hardly believe it.
Yeah, but also it's so much bigger than it looks from here because you're like really outside in the ornithopter, and it's actually really massive. It's super massive.
But this shows you can really be creative here,
Yes.
find a cool place, start building, and especially if you get into building, if you get a bit, experienced, you can do this in not too long. Like if you have the resources, I can build this in maybe a day and maybe a little bit more, but you can build it quite quickly.
And it's really
well, you're very
tailored here.
experienced as well. Yeah.
I have built, it has helped building, dozens of cities in Conan Exiles.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's still, it's a thrill always to build in Dune Awakening, I think.
Talking about creativity, we have actually done a call to action in our internal beta, and we asked some of our, or like everyone really, we asked everyone in the beta to send us their builds, their buildings. So we're gonna do a contest now where Twitch chat, unfortunately, our bot is not working on YouTube for whatever reason.
So this was a really interesting part of the live stream where they actually showcased some player builds. Let's look at those and I'll kind of cut to them. Okay, so here we have submission A. This is obviously the Harkonnen style. This was a player created structure. You can see where he has his little ramp where he can drive his bikes up and have access to the upper platform. There's no telling just how useful these spaces are down here or what the actual space is, usable space is like inside these towers. They may not be very functional, but they look very pleasing. I mean, this is a very aesthetically pleasing base, and he or she may just house the majority of their usable space inside this structure right here, and they have like their crafting area, their garage, their all different kind of stuff going on. And this also shows, you know, some use of, I don't know if this was required for structural support, to be able to build this platform jutting off of the edge like that, or if it's just, you know, design and aesthetically pleasing that they liked it like that. I don't know, but this is very cool indeed.
There we go.
So now we go, now we have it. So if you want to vote, you do !A, B, C, D, or E in chat, and then you vote for that specific building. But obviously, wait until we see all of them and then start voting.
Here we have a Harkonnen style base.
Mm-hmm.
And it's huge.
Yeah.
So
right there you can see all this stuff out here is probably just for aesthetics. This is a huge area on the inside. There is a lot of space inside this base to be able to do whatever you need to. So this is basically just the box style base, but with some flair on the outside, because a lot of this space inside is all usable. So yeah, that's pretty utilitarian actually, while being pleasing as well.
you can see the round shapes. It's
This is amazing. Just this view is really fantastic.
I captured this video yesterday, and there's lots of cool bases here, and they're really big. And just a thing to point out here, the servers are so full of bases, you see them everywhere basically. So it's really awesome to see how much people are building.
Also, I just wanted to mention that we have actually mostly judged by the look from the outside, plus also accessibility, how it will kind of work in the setup and everything, how it was built in the terrain, because we didn't really have as much, what is it called? We didn't focus that much on interior, because not everyone had access to those. So we apologize for that in advance, and we definitely have more opportunity.
This is just really, really pleasing. The way this looks is so nice. The size is very deceptive, because you can have your little dude right in here, standing here, and you're looking out this window at the view that's obviously magnificent, and the size is deceiving because you can have multiple layers inside here. Lots of usable space. These build areas are going to be very, very forgiving as far as what you can do inside the space that you're given. So yeah, this is very, very interesting. I love that.
Is down the line. So here we have another Atreides space.
Yeah, and Submission B here has built a long wall similar to what I did for the Atreides space. Yes. You can get like a really nice view, like overhanging the edge. And yeah, it's pretty big also, this. And you can see the unique Atreides pieces. It's really cool to see how creative the players are. And,
absolutely.
And as, you know, after launch, we'll just see more and more of it.
Also this one,
Yes.
That's a great
fantastic
looking one.
point.
Yeah.
A fantastic point as well to choose for your building because it has such an amazing view from up there.
Yeah. And this
It's
is showing how you can use even the
beautiful.
angular pieces to make a bit more organic shapes on a larger scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which they clearly have done here.
In this space, they've actually combined a little bit of Harkonnen with Atreides.
Oh yeah?
So this right here, if you heard what he said this structure combines some of the Atreides and the Harkonnen together. So he did not build this. This is a player submission. So that gives me hope that the player will be able to have both build styles somehow. I don't know how that's going to work with the, progressing down quest paths and then betraying and moving to the other. Can you go so far down the quest path and learn a lot of the build style before you actually have to commit and swear fealty, and then you can learn the other one? I don't know. But he said this structure combines two Harkonnen and Atreides build style together, so there is hope that that can be done. I really hope that that's a thing that we can learn a lot of both, so that we can really mix up and vary our building styles.
Yeah, which is possible if you
If you betray one
Yeah.
faction.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is built in the Udam, so it's a very creative region there.
Also, this one, obviously, maybe hard to tell which faction this is for.
Yeah.
The eagle here is quite
It's
stunning.
a little bit
I
of a
think.
giveaway,
Yeah.
regarding
The Atreides
what
Hawk, I
faction
mean,
that
yeah.
is. It's very cool.
It's cool. This one has a good interior also, this space. So I
Yes.
did a capture here going up, showing off a little bit here.
We see that a little
Some
bit.
great balconies here too.
Yeah.
It's just a really great usage of the space as well. And here we have another Harkonnen one.
We have a huge garage there, it looks
Yeah.
like, as well.
Can
That's
really
nice.
fly thopters in
Yeah.
there.
That's
It's
great.
like you can actually fit the carrier into that one.
This is built in the very corner of the shield wall, and there you can see a really nice interior there. So, it's a huge base. The tower is staggeringly tall.
Oh yeah.
And this is, remember, if you just increase your base, the land size vertically, you can keep on building up.
So, as I mentioned, we have actually chosen 5 that we showed you now, but we also want to show you some of the honorable mentions that we really liked as well, but they didn't make it into the top 5. This is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
It's very creative.
Very
Pineapple.
spiky. Yeah.
Wasn't there was a little thing that I think Ignacy wanted to put on this? Is like, is this the fit? There we go.
Yeah,
Favorite
there we go.
pizza topping. It's okay.
That's great.
Perfect. Favorite pizza topping. There is no discussion.
Oh, look at
Pineapple on some
that.
pizza.
Yeah, this
is really cool
it-
too.
yeah,
Very
it-
creative.
It's built with Atreides pillar foundations to make this sort of lattice work here.
I
It's
love
very
that.
creative.
I love that a lot. as
Just a
well.
bit of a cage feeling to it.
It shows you
Yeah.
can just go nuts if you want to.
And this one, of
Yes.
course.
Oh wow.
Like the scorpion. Yes. It's
Yeah.
just absolutely crazy. Like.
It's really
That's
cool.
very creative.
And
Yeah.
that's like the beta testers. Imagine once the game releases and we have like
That's incredible.
millions, I don't know how people play a game, but it's like I just can't wait to see what players will create. I mean, this is just
This one I hear is a dedicated toilet.
that's a toilet.
Yes. So I did take a photo of myself there.
That's amazing.
So
That's
Love it.
nice for the passerby, right?
Yeah.
yes.
And then a little homage to Shai Hulud, obviously. Also absolutely fantastic, so creative.
Yeah, it's really cool.
After being eaten too many times.
Yeah, I know. It's
Please
just
not
like,
again. I'll build a statue.
It's like a prayer thing. It's
Yeah.
like if I'm. All right, so we are closing the poll in a few seconds, and it seems we have a clear winner actually. Yeah, so it looks like.
Let's see.
Do you have the
He was-
results?
I think he was
I wonder who it is.
46% for option C. Can we show that again, maybe?
Oh wow.
That's the pineapple.
Yeah, so C is the base built in Udam. This
There
one.
There
we
we
go.
go.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Okay, so that was the winner of their contest, option C. This is the one that they said encompassed both Atreides and Harkonnen build style together. So this was super cool. Very, very interesting build. Looks like it has a lot of utility while being functional. It's just really neat. I don't know what else to say about it. I would like to have seen the insides of these a lot more. They didn't really showcase a lot of the inside because they said not everybody had access to all the cosmetic sets, so they didn't want to really judge the buildings on their interior cosmetic layout. But I would have liked to have seen a lot of the functionality. Really would have been really cool to see inside these spaces, so you can get more of a realization just how big they are. So that's super cool. Not really sure what this is down here. This just now caught my eye. I don't know if this is like a point of interest with a bandit camp or something like that, but that's kind of cool down in there. What is that? You know, I don't know. That's interesting. Maybe really useful to build your house near a bandit camp POI type thing, to where you can just be right there to farm it as necessary to get resources and, you know, Solari and components and possibly schematics and things like that. So that's interesting to see that down there.
And still
Nice.
option C, who won
It's a really good one.
Ultimate edition of Dune Awakening, and everyone else in those top 5, like the 4 runner-ups, will get a deluxe edition as well. So thank you so much. And also we have a surprise for the honorable mentions. They will all get a standard edition as well. Plus a little surprise for everyone in the beta who has submitted a build who didn't make it into the stream. We have a little surprise for you as well. More on that in the Discord though. There will be a message for you later.
A small comment on the winner there. It was a lot of decorated interiors also,
Yes.
so that base had, the builder had really put effort in here.
Yes, I'm actually, I mean, obviously I'm a little bit sad that we couldn't put more weight on interior design, but it was just not fair to the ones who didn't have those unlocked. So we couldn't really do that. Again, as I mentioned, you'll have more opportunities, but some of the interior designs that we saw in the submissions are absolutely mind-blowing, and maybe we will probably have, I would assume we will have a post sometime down the line where we show those buildings a little bit more and also like show some of the interior design. I think that would be very cool.
Okay, so I just want to do a little wrap up here. Want to apologize if during the video I made a couple missteps with my pausing and stuff, because it was kind of hard to constantly pause and unpause and, you know, shut down audio and play audio, and so I may have had a couple little missteps there with doing that. Sorry about that if that happened, but I do want to just wrap this up and say I'm sorry that this video went so long, but there was just so much to look at and talk about in this area of the game, and that's really exciting, because what that means is that we will have so many options available to us that we should be able to go in game and fulfill all those dreams that you've got in your head about structures that you want to build, looks you want to come up with, functionality that you want to design, content you want to create, and just the amount of cosmetically pleasing things that you can add into your base designs is just really exciting to see, and it was something that I really enjoyed doing this video. So I appreciate you sticking with me. If you made it through the whole hour and 50 minutes of this video, I applaud you because I don't know if I could have done that or not, but this is something that I truly love to talk about. It's obvious because I couldn't shut up about it long enough, but I appreciate you watching my content. If you found this content interesting, please think about subscribing, because I'm trying to reach my next milestone for my channel of 5,000 subscribers, and I would really love it if you would join me in that journey. I'm going to be focusing on Dune Awakening going forward with my channel. It's going to be something that I put a lot of passion and a lot of effort into, so I would really appreciate it if you'd, come back and watch some more of my content. I appreciate you being here today. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend, and let's get ready to build and have some fun in Dune Awakening. Talk to you later. Peace.